Raise, 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 raise.
Oh, hello there. Welcome back to LeEdFollow, and today we're going to be talking about my personal favourite aftermarket alloy wheel manufacturer, which is Raise, also known as Raise Engineering. So Raise are one of, if not the, greatest Japanese aftermarket wheel manufacturer of all time. If you've ever seen a Nissan, Honda, Toyota or Mazda race car, then it's more than likely to have been rolling on Raise wheels. So they are especially popular to those of us that own and modify Japanese sports cars, and even if you don't know the name, then you'll probably have seen these wheels if you've ever watched something like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Red Evo, Raise. Blue S15, Raise. So Raise has quite a varied product range. There's lots of different wheels, all shapes and sizes and purposes, but generally speaking, most of their wheels fall into two different types of wheel. You've got Volks Racing, which is their forged alloy wheel, and you've also got Gram Light, which is their cast alloy wheel. But what is the difference? Well, in short, a forged wheel starts as a solid block of aluminium that's superheated and compressed multiple times under thousands of tons of pressure. It's then machined down to the final shape, which makes it very light, very strong, but unfortunately this process also makes them very expensive. Cast wheels, on the other hand, are made from pouring hot, molten aluminium into a casting mould under pressure, which is a cheaper and faster manufacturing process. Now, the difference between making an alloy wheel using casting instead of forging is that the actual metal is a lot more porous. This means it's technically a lot weaker than a forged alloy wheel. But this isn't actually such a big problem because the manufacturers take this into consideration when they're designing their cast alloy wheels. Making the spokes thicker or using twice as many spokes, using a thicker rim edge, there's lots of ways that the manufacturers can make a cast wheel much stronger. But of course, having to strengthen a cast wheel makes it heavier, and that's the big difference between a forged wheel and a cast wheel. A forged wheel will always be a lot lighter than an equivalent cast wheel. So, in Raise Volks Racing line of forged alloy wheels, the most famous is easily the TE37. And in their Gram Lights range of cast alloy wheels, probably the most famous is the 57 Extreme, which I have here. So it's a 12-spoke design, and the spokes come in flush to the lip here, but they've got this inner edge. Gives it a very flat look at the face, but also it gives it the illusion of the wheel being a lot bigger than it actually is. It's cast, however, the rim, the way they make it is a process which gives it all the properties of a forged wheel. It's only really the face that is cast, which means you get a great trade-off of strength versus price. So I got my first set of 57 Extremes in graphite grey as part of the Cosworth conversion done on my GT86. And I loved them so much that I went out and I bought a second set in Formula Silver. They came up for sale for a good price on eBay, and I just had to have them. But there are a number of manufacturers that make replicas of famous alloy wheels. So there are lots of replicas of the Volks Racing wheels and lots of replicas of the Gram Light wheels out there. So you've got to be very careful if you're buying used alloy wheels off of eBay, because you need to make sure you're buying the genuine article and not replicas. Now, if I actually had $1 for every time I'd seen somebody selling a set of replica wheels on eBay trying to pass them off as genuine wheels, I'd probably be able to afford a set of replica wheels by now. An easy telltale sign is looking for the Made in Japan and also the Raise logo. Now, on the Gram Lights, like these 57 Extremes, these are stamped into the front of the wheel. However, on the Volks Racing wheels, which are the forged ones, they tend to have those two logos stamped onto the rear of the hub, and they're between the nuts. And they also sometimes say Raise Engineering instead of Raise. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you how to spot all the fakes because there are so many different Raise wheels out there, and there are many, many manufacturers making replicas. But let's start with the basics. Let's talk about the two wheels that I mentioned earlier. We've got the TE37 from the forged Volks Racing line, and we've got the 57 Extreme from the cast Graham Lights line.
So, with the genuine TE37 in the top left for reference, let's take a look at the first replica wheel, which is the Japan Racing JR3. Very similar looking wheel. Next one is the famous rotor grid. Lots of these about, see these a lot. And then lastly, we've got the Bowler B1. Now, one of the things you'll notice about these wheels is that the bolt patterns are very, very different. The genuine T37 has very, very clean, flat-faced finish, whereas all the other wheels have very slightly different bolt holes. And if we take a closer look at the T37, you'll see that it says made in Japan, as I mentioned earlier. None of the replicas have this writing. Now, when it comes to the Graham Light 57 Extremes, there's luckily not that many replicas out there. I mean, the one that we see usually is the Caliber Suzuka, which you can see here in the picture next to a photo of my actual genuine wheels. Now, the first giveaway is that instead of saying Rays, they actually say Ravs, and they don't say made in Japan. They still have the Graham Lights logo, but that's all they've got. So very easy to spot these from a mile off. And lastly, any set of genuine Rays wheels should have stickers from Rays on the inside of the rim. However, be careful because some people sell fake stickers on eBay.
So be careful when you're going to be buying wheels online, because whether they are Rays, Enkis, BBS, Oz Racing, etc., there are a lot of fakes out there. So do your research on the internet. Make sure you go to your viewing armed with all the information as best you can about what to look for to confirm they are the real deal. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe if you're not already doing so, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.